Welcome to Changemakers on WVCR 88.3 This Saint, where we profile changemakers in our local communities across the country and around the world. We're your hosts, Millie and Caylin. How are you today, Caylin?
I'm doing fine, Millie. How are you?
Great. Yeah, I can't believe I just graduated.
I know. Congrats. How you feeling about it?
Pretty good. I was pretty sad though that I had to miss Tulip Fest. Because it was the same day as my graduation.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
And Mother's Day. Goodness, that was a busy day.
And Mother's Day. So, yeah, that was a little disappointing. But I guess it was for a good reason.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, kind of have to graduate. Sort of important.
Exactly.
Cool. What have you been up to this summer?
Well, I'm starting my full-time job. I'm getting into the swing of things at the Boys and Girls Club.
Very
so that's
cool.
nice. I have some potential vacations planned. So we'll see how that goes. And, yeah, I'm really just moving into my new apartment and things like that.
How fun.
Yeah.
Very cool.
What about you? Do you have anything interesting going on?
Well, I am sort of kind of in the same boat, just, working hard at Unity House this summer and, getting ready to go home for a little while back to Texas, hanging out with some local family and things like that. But, not too much, just kind of happy about the fact that I can put most of my work into Unity House and not school anymore. So
right, exactly.
That's good. Definitely a fun summer ahead, I think.
Very cool. And I mentioned before how I had to unfortunately miss Tulip Fest, but lucky for us, our guest today can tell us all about it. She can tell us all about the process of Tulip Fest because we have our 2014 Albany Tulip Queen with us today.
We do.
Her name is Caitlin Whelan. And I'm going to just read a little bit about her before we introduce her to the show. So Caitlin is a junior at Siena. She majors in psychology with a minor in health studies. She is an advocate for the Shared Hope International program, and her volunteer experience includes work with Relay for Life, the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, the Schenectady Mission, and the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Walk. Caitlin enjoys volleyball, basketball, swimming, hiking, and playing guitar in her spare time. After she gets her degree, she aspires to enter the field of occupational therapy. Caitlin's goal as a member of the 2014 Tulip Court was to advocate literacy while teaching valuable lessons on the effectiveness of community and creativity as tools to accomplish goals. So welcome to the show, Caitlin.
Thank you for having me.
We're delighted to have you, especially since, for those of you who don't know, I was on the Tulip Court, what was it now, 2 years ago?
2012?
2013.
And then Kate was 2013-14?
Right, I was 2012 to 13.
Right, and then Kate's 13-14, and
right.
Then now Caitlin is 14-15.
Exactly, so we have a whole family of Tulip Queens and court members here on the radio show. So
Definitely.
So how has it been for you? What was your experience like as the Tulip Queen, Caylin?
It has been absolutely unforgettable. I mean, one of the best years of my life. I can't believe how fast it flew by, but I have had the honor to work with 4 amazing young women, and really, we were able to do so much for the Albany community, and the Albany community was really able to do so much for us, so it's really been unbelievable.
That's awesome to hear. And tell us about how you got started. Who nominated you? What was that like?
Sure. So for quite some time, I didn't know who actually nominated me until she surprised me a few weeks into the whole process. And it turned out to be my mother, which really meant the absolute world to me that, she thought so highly of me and that, it was someone who cared about me and someone that I cared so much about too. But my mother nominated me, and then from there, all the craziness started with the interview process, with the selection committee, sitting in the mayor's conference room with a whole bunch of selection committee members looking at you. It was very intimidating, but we got through it. And then we had the Tulip Tea, where I got to meet 15 semifinalists who were absolutely inspiring. It was unbelievable. And then the 5 of us were picked. And then, it was the whole whirlwind of preparing for Tulip Festival with the press conference, the street scrubbing, the luncheon, and then the big day came with Tulip Festival at the coronation where I was crowned, which was very exciting.
Well,
Wow.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I can still remember thinking back, oh my gosh, this is like bringing memories right to me. It was so intimidating when you first enter your first interview and you enter that boardroom and you don't know what to expect and you just start, they start asking you all these questions and and they're very serious when they're asking you the questions. So totally a new experience, but yeah. And I agree, the luncheon was totally amazing when I did it too, because you get to meet it's like, how many were there? Like 15 girls usually, and they're all doing like incredible things.
Oh, absolutely. It was so inspiring. And it was really nice to know, like, sitting there at the Tulip Tea, that no matter who was selected, that the 2014 Queen and Court would be a stellar group of young women. And that even those young women that were not selected to be on that court would continue to go on and do amazing things for their community. So it was really awesome to meet really empowered and inspiring women that day. So that was one of my favorite parts of the whole selection process.
I'm sure.
That's awesome. That's so cool. So what was it like working with your court this year? That's got to be pretty cool. How many girls were on it?
There were 4 other girls, and then I made 5, and it was just such an awesome dynamic group where each one of us brought something really unique to the table. And I remember looking back, thinking about what kind of group I wanted to work with. And what really stuck out to me, you Siena girls who remember, is the whole DOORS. For you listeners who don't know, DOORS is a kind of a Siena initiative, which means diversity, optimism, respect, and service. And it's really neat because each of my girls that I worked with, really, I felt embodied those values. And it just made it so much more really great to work with them, since we had very similar values, but we were also very different in that each of us brought something really unique to the table so that we could do a lot of good things. So I worked with 4 of the best girls that I know, and I was so glad to have the opportunity to do so.
And what are their names, and what are they like?
Megan Yee, and then we have Jillian Callahan, then we have Kesmira Wilkins, and then Tara Marie Crisafoli, who is also a Siena student right now. Actually, she just graduated.
Yeah.
So, so she's out of here. But we also had Megan Yee, who she went to Siena. She's a Siena grad, and she is currently in the Albany Medical Program at Albany Med. So, yeah, and then Jillian goes to Union, and she is a dancer, and she's a fabulous dancer. And Cassie is a freshman at St. Rose, where she's studying biology and is looking to go into radiology. So very busy girls.
Definitely a diverse crowd. That's really cool.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the best parts, because you get to see so many, a lot of times the girls are from different parts of their lives. So I remember when I was on the court, I was the youngest. And so it was so, I got to look up to girls who had already graduated, or some were still in college as well. So, you get a lot of advice, and I'm sure you faced the same things, which is great.
Oh, yeah, it was nice. It was really nice to have that age range. And like you said, like really the different levels of experience. And again, I really think it just added so much more dynamic to our group. So that was very nice to have.
I'm sure.
That's very cool. So what was your role like? What was sort of expected of you as Tulip Queen? I mean, we talked a little bit about your court and the selection process, but what did it kind of, what did your year look like?
So we had a very busy year. We do reign for an entire year, from one Tulip Festival to the next. And during that time, we attend a lot. I lost track of city-sponsored events and service events. So these events range from something fun, like you listeners might know, the Festival of Nations that they do in Albany, to more service-based work where we went into the Miralax shelter and we worked with Jazzy Sun Birthdays and did, a birthday party for the children whose birthday fell within that month. So we had a big range of events that we went to. And then our big project was our literacy program, which we designed and implemented to further Mayor Sheehan's literacy campaign, which the Queen and Court do every year.
So it's an annual program, the literacy campaign, you said. So does everyone do kind of the same program, or does it look a little bit different every year?
It looks a little bit different each year, which is nice because each Queen and Court, it's a different group. So every year, the Queen and Court are charged with the responsibility to create a unique literacy program and then implement it. So.
And what was yours?
We called ours Imagination Inc., calling all super writers. So ours was a lot of fun, and it was a lot of work, but so worthwhile. And what we did was we really wanted to create a program that not only encouraged reading and writing, but also inspired students to be leaders and heroes in their own community. And we were firm believers of the benefits that come with teaching heroism in the classroom. So what we did is we wrote a comic book where we featured the Super Tulips, which was a lot of fun, us 5. And we had actually a Siena student here draw the comic book. So the whole idea was to take kind of like a issue that children would be facing in their school or larger community and, show them that they can be heroes and how to overcome that obstacle. So we created a story that centered on bullying and peer pressure and how the Super Tulips recruited their own heroes to help a student overcome these issues. And then the next several weeks we spent with each school, they wrote the children got to pick topics that were very relevant to them, and some of these ranged from, again, bullying or peer pressure, self-esteem, all the way to larger issues like gender equality, pollution, and diversity. So it was so neat. We had one kid write about, a superhero with disabilities. So such creative stories that these children wrote. And then we went to local high schools where volunteer high school artists drew the stories that the children wrote into comic books. And then through the generosity of Fort Orange Printing, we had these, written or drawn comic books professionally printed. And then we were able to go back to the schools. And for our Myers and All Saints schools, we were able to go to City Hall to have a big family day where the children, the artists, and the families would be presented with copies of their very own comic books.
Oh, how nice.
That's really cool.
So great.
How many elementary schools, or you said elementary schools and high schools, what sort of age ranges did you work with? Or
We
what
worked
was that
with
like?
middle schoolers for the writing portion. We worked at Latham Ridge Elementary. We worked at All Saints Academy and Myers Middle School. And then our artists were from Albany High School and Catholic Central High School.
Very cool.
Yeah, so it was really neat. The kids absolutely loved writing the stories. And what was really nice was working with the high schooler kids is that they faced really similar issues too. But you know how it is in high school. Like, you don't really like to talk about that stuff. So this was a really neat forum for them to be able to express their beliefs and their concerns and, how they could have been a hero. They can be heroes through their artwork. So it was nice to know that this program was as much as for our high schoolers as it was for our middle schoolers as well.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you got to experience a lot of really cool things. And I really like how you were able to work with not only the elementary kids, but you spread it out to junior high kids and high schoolers as well. I feel like it's kind of a newer thing. I remember in the past, usually when I did it, we worked with just elementary students. And years before me, it was the same thing. So it's really cool that you guys spread out a little bit. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to take a quick break, but we'll be right back with our 2014 Tulip Queen, Caitlin Whelan, after these few messages. So stay tuned on Changemakers.
Than this love I have inside.
Welcome back to Changemakers on WVCR 88.3 This Saint, where we profile changemakers in our local communities across the country and around the world. We're your hosts, Millie and Caylin, and we have an amazing guest with us today. Her name is Caitlin Whelan, and she is the 2014 Tulip Queen. So in the beginning of our show, we talked a little bit about her literacy campaign and her experience working with the other court members. So now let's go into what's to come, and because you're wrapping up. Well, I guess you did wrap up already.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to stay within the Tulip family? What happens for you now?
We have a motto, and I'm sure you know this already, Millie, with the Tulip family, and they always say YODO. Kind of like YOLO.
Yeah.
But
actually,
YOLO,
our year was the one who came up with that.
You guys came up with it?
We
That's
did.
awesome.
We have T-shirts and everything.
Oh, that's
Oh my
perfect. But yes, one of our mentors taught us right from the get-go that our new tulip motto is YODO, and that means you only tulip once. And that's because once a tulip, you're always a tulip, which I absolutely love. I love it. So thank you for coming up with that. Genius.
Well, we'll give props to Nicole Dama. She was
Yes.
the one who originally.
Thank you, Nicole Dama.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I know my court and I really we cherished our experience, and we're a little sad that it came to an end, but that's how it goes. But we would love to stay involved and really support the 2015 Tulip Queen in Court, by coming to some of their events, lending them a helping hand when in need. So we'll stay involved, and you could still find us around the community.
There you go. And then, so you mentioned that you had a lot of events rather than not just your literacy campaign, but you went to a few different things in the community. What was your favorite?
Oh, that's so hard to choose. I think I would have to say we went to Delaware Elementary School in Albany, and we went in. It's just the simple things. We went in to read stories to a couple of the girls read to fourth graders, and I was reading to second graders. And they were so cute, like little peanuts. And we were reading stories. And I was sitting in the chair, and it was the most adorable thing. They were sitting around me. And as we were reading like more of the story, they were inching their chairs closer and closer until like everybody's knees were touching mine. And they were so excited reading the story with me. And then, when we had to say goodbye, they were so sad, but we took a group picture, and they was so cute. They got all neat and organized on the carpet. But then I sat down, and it was like I was tackled by like cute little kids giving me hugs and like sitting on my lap. It was the cutest thing. And then like the biggest group hug when I went to leave that I almost fell over from. It's just like, that was the best. And I've had so many memorable events and experiences, but that's one of the ones that resonates with me just because it's like the little things you're able to do with like within this role. It's awesome. And those little kids, like I'll never forget.
That's so cute. So what other kind of community engagement activities did you guys do as a court?
So as I had talked a little bit about with you girls earlier, we did both, like the fun Albany events, and we also did some service, which was fantastic. I also mentioned earlier how we had gone and done service, like going into the Miralax shelter for homeless women and children. And that was another really unforgettable experience that will also stay with me for some time. But we teamed up with Jazzy Sun Birthdays, who the owner of the company was actually nominated for Mother of the Year last Tulip Festival. Wow. So we worked with her, and we got to meet, it was just an incredible group of people that, in the midst of so much strife and hardship they're facing in their life, they still find ways to be happy and be a big family. And there was a little boy and a little girl who, it was their birthdays that month. So we celebrated their birthdays with Spider-Man and Hello Kitty themes. And, we got to play games outside with the kids and, be there to paint their faces and, help them open presents. And that was just the coolest thing, like how grateful they were to have us there and how grateful they were to have their new big community family there with them. And that was a really memorable service venture that we did.
That's really cool. So we know that aside from Tulip, you are extremely involved in both the Siena community and the greater community. So now that you are kind of done with your term as Tulip Queen, what kind of, what are you going to be working on your senior year of college?
Well, I'll be applying to graduate school. So as mentioned earlier, I really want to do occupational therapy. So I will be working on my academics and continuing on to graduate school, which is very exciting. I haven't quite picked where I want to go yet, so I have to do that. And I'll continue to be involved on campus. I am a resident assistant on campus, so I'll be up in the townhouses next year, so I'll have my hands full.
That'll be fun.
Like 100 some odd residents, so that'll be fun, but it'll be great. I do enjoy working with Res Life. And then I'm also a McGuire on campus, which means like I work with admissions and I interview prospective students, and when they come to visit campus, I'll answer any of their questions they have, which is nice because it's nice for the prospective students to get to meet students. I know I really appreciated that when I was a prospective student. So I'll be busy with that. And then, maybe some other fun adventures. I was thinking of joining the outing club now that I'll have a little more free time and fun things like that.
Our producer, Colleen, I think, is a member of the outing club. So you guys have more and more in common as the show goes on. Very cool.
That's funny. It sounds like you do have a lot going on. And I remember when I was in the court, that was one of the biggest struggles was time management. Mm-hmm. How did you adapt to that?
I think what was really neat is right after our glamour weekend of Tulip Festival and the ball, we all kind of sat down, the five of us as a team, and kind of decided, the Tulip golden rules and how we were going to work together cohesively as a team and really budget our time together and really set like our expectations for each other. And that really helped because not only were we able as a team to set, kind of like guidelines for each other to help each other, but we really established a support system so that we were able to kind of figure out, okay, academics, that's most important. Academics come first. And then, other things are really important too. But, Tulip might come first. But let's work together as a team so that those other important things can be done while also doing Tulip. So it was definitely a team effort for all of us to manage our time, and which was nice. Mm-hmm. It made it a lot easier. It wasn't as stressful when you have 4 other girls there that got your back. So.
Right.
That's very cool. And it's nice that you guys had such like a little community right from the start. Yeah. So what would you say like an average week look like while we're on the topic of time? I mean, I know this is definitely a big commitment for all of you and you're all really busy girls. So yeah, what did a normal week look like?
I depended on the time since, once our literacy program began, our schedules changed a little bit. During the summertime, that's really the busiest time for Albany events. So you're busy every weekend and, sometimes during the weekdays, attending, city and service events. And then during the school year, once we start our literacy program, that's thrown into the schedule too. With the events, there's fewer, but you still are constantly going to events or invited to events. So, we didn't have an event every weekend, but maybe we'd have, on top of our academics and our clubs during the week, we'd have an event during the weekend. And then we met with our kids for the literacy program twice a week. So that was usually Wednesday, Thursdays. So we'd be trying to make it work in between class. So a lot of running around in between classes and clubs and all kinds of things to make it work, but we did it. There were busy weeks, but
I'm sure.
Very cool. That's great. So I know that you said you guys were invited to a lot of events and things like that, and you touched on some of those. How would an organization go about having the Tulip Court at their event? Do you know?
Yes, I do. It's actually pretty simple. So we have our very own website. It's albanytulipqueen.com, and there's a link on the main page where people who would like to invite us to an event or organizations that would like to invite us can click right on that link, and it takes you right to a page where you fill out, some of your basic information, what the event is, why you'd like us there, and then you submit it. And then we have someone in the Office of Special Events that manages all of our event planning. He is absolutely fabulous. So he'll get back to whoever sends in that info for the 2015 Tulip Queen right away. So
very cool. Good to know. So can you say that website again, just in case some of our listeners are, trying to get the chance to write it down?
Absolutely. It's albanytulipqueen.com.
Perfect.
Very easy. So now, talking about how such a great year you had and everything, what is some advice that you can give to the 2015 Queen and Court?
I would tell them to cherish every moment. It's unbelievable, as we've talked about, how fast this year flies by. And, so really to live in each moment, even the good days, the bad days, live them all, and it's really I would also recommend to keep a blog, keep a journal, because this really is an unforgettable experience that you're going to want to remember. So, love every minute of it and just know that you are doing something absolutely wonderful for the young students and future leaders of Albany, and you should be very proud of yourselves.
That's very cool. Very sound advice. I like the idea of writing out, that whole experience. I think that's definitely unique. So now I know that the new court has been selected, but as far as the 2016, 2017?
No, 2015, 2016.
That's who was just picked.
Yes.
So what about for next year? What are the guidelines for a nomination?
So there's just a few. They asked for the age range to be 18 to 23, never been married, which usually isn't a problem for that age range. And then, to really be living in the Albany County, and then really to just be a leader in your community. So those are the requirements.
Very cool. So hopefully people, that might be interested and have some nominees in mind can keep that in mind. Look for that next spring. I know we've got like a whole year pretty much. And we just
have a lot of time to think about it.
Right, for sure.
Now, Caylin, what would you say the most important thing you learned being a Tulip Queen? What was the best thing you took away from the experience?
I guess really going on the foundations of our whole literacy program and where we were geared for our whole year is that not only were we able to teach the children, but we were able to learn for ourselves that you really don't need a cape or superpowers to make an impact on your community and be a hero. And I thought that was really neat. And I know that my court members thought the same, that was so neat. And the students we, taught those lessons to thought it was really neat. So it's really been a fantastic opportunity to learn that and live it. And I'm so grateful that the girls and I had that opportunity to do that. And it was really inspiring. So now that we feel empowered to continue working with the Albany community.
Very cool. And in our last quick minute that we have with you, we always love to ask our famous question, and that is, what does a change maker mean to you, Caitlin?
I mean, I guess it depends on each person. I mean, I guess a change maker is, it's a person who becomes the change they want to see. So for
Sounds
us,
familiar.
Yes. So, so it was really neat to have that opportunity. And I look forward to seeing what change the 2015 Queen and Court want to be.
Very cool. Well, congratulations again on your awesome year.
Thank you.
As the Tulip Queen.
Definitely. And thank you very much for coming on the show. We've loved having you.
Thank you for having me.
So make sure you continue to visit the website to see what this year's Queen and Court are up to. That's albanytulipqueen.com. And make sure you tune in next week here on Changemakers on WVCR 88.3 The Saint.
Change